As you see, there's a couple of new faces on here. I've got Mark Burnett, my co-host here today, and we're coming at you live from the Messenger Studios. This is a Messenger podcast, and today we're bringing you all the news that's the news across the nation. And as you also can see on your screen, we have the Honorable Mark Metcalf, the Secretary of Treasury, joining us today. Welcome, Mark. We're glad to have you on the show. A little applause in the background. Hold on. There it goes. Yeah. Little applause in the background. But Mark, we're glad to have you. Say hello. There we go.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me to participate today.
Yeah, I'm glad. You know, the last time you and I saw each other was a couple weeks ago at a local event supporting, all of the things that are going on in the area. And and before that, the last time we had you actually on a podcast, and it was probably when I was in my basement, wasn't it, Mark?
No, we were over at the.
That's right.
We were over at the Seminole Realtor building.
That's right. We had moved from the basement to a new location. Do you remember that, sir?
I do. Actually, you interviewed me twice last year.
We had a good time. I'm glad to have you back, too, because now that you're in office, there are so many things that happen. We would love for our Meade County residents to know what you're doing for the entire state. But obviously, whatever you do for the state applies to us out here, too. So tell us a little bit about what's been happening at the Treasury.
Well, we got off to a good start. I have an excellent team. Russell Weber is our chief of staff. Sam Burchett, our general counsel, he and I finished law school together, and we've not known each other for we're going into our 49th year of friendship.
Oh, wow.
And Clay Skaggs is our communications director. We have a very good team, and I have to compliment the merit staff, the civil service part of the office. They are very dedicated to the interests of Kentucky. They're hard workers, and they're a credit to themselves and to the state.
So when you're talking about you call it the merit staff, is that what you said?
Yeah, merit staff.
Right. So when they, that's the people that in between different administrations and things like that, those are the people who are actually getting things done and getting out. And your job is to set policy when it comes to the Treasury Department, right? Is that right? And then not that you don't do work. I'm not trying to insinuate that. I'm just trying to say that there's those who are out on the front lines, executing the policies that the office makes, right, and making sure that people are taken care of. Make sure that there's the tax side, there's the unclaimed property side. There's different things going on in your office, and it's good to recognize those folks who are who do a lot of hard work to execute on those policies. So I appreciate you saying that about them.
Well, they've earned the praise. They've earned the compliments. Mm-hmm. There's no put it this way. I'm not pandering. From one administration to the next, they are the people that will carry the bulk of the work. Yeah, you're correct. We set policy. We have an entire agenda that we're pursuing. But I first, for purposes of focus, would say that people know the Treasury best regarding its role in returning their property to them, and that's the Unclaimed Property Division. We actually have 3 divisions here at the Treasury. Unclaimed property would be the most noteworthy, but we have accounting and disbursements. And we also have our management division.
So I think
million.
Wow.
Wow.
We have a contractor for that purpose who works closely with my staff, and that's the Depository Bank of Kentucky, and that would be J.P. Morgan Chase. We work very well with them.
Well, I'd love to manage an $800 million account too if I was J.P. Morgan and Chase. I'm just kidding, but go ahead.
They make money on our money.
Sure.
We don't have any fee for services. They make money when we make money, and that's as it should be. I don't have to worry about a payroll with them. We have a payroll internally here. We're an office that costs taxpayers about $6 million a year.
Yeah.
We manage a lot of money. I'm the chair of the State Investments Commission, and last year the State Investments Commission returned to the Commonwealth $682 million. And my role is strictly supervisory. I don't pick investments. I certainly don't hire their staff, but I do supervise their investments from the point of view of making certain that they're investing in things which fit into our models for investment. Our first obligation is to the taxpayers to make certain that we don't lose money. That's the first thing. The second thing is to make money on our money. But before we can even turn a profit, we have to make certain that Kentucky is invested in things which do not lose. And you might call those risk-free investments. We do invest a lot in U.S. Treasuries, which I'm sure some people would say, well, that's a no-brainer. You're not going to lose with them. It takes a very highly skilled staff to go through those investments and to make sure that Kentucky's interests are not bottled up in one investment, so that when we need, we stay fluid.
You have a diversified portfolio, essentially.
Yes, we do. But when you say diversified, among treasuries, we ladder them so that they mature each month, so that the Commonwealth has access to its money nearly instantaneously. The other thing we do is we invest in high-quality bonds. Think Apple, for instance.
Right.
We purchase Apple bonds. We purchase Google bonds. Pardon me. These investments have never lost money. They've returned to the taxpayers an extraordinarily large sum of money just last year at $684 million. So
wow,
it's something that doesn't happen by accident. And let me also compliment the staff at the Investments Commission. They do the kind of job that brings credit to themselves and to the Commonwealth, and we're lucky to have them.
Well, I think we're lucky to have you. That's a lot of money to be managing. When we see, obviously, things that are coming up this election cycle with the election for adopting an amendment to our Constitution, whether it's passed or not, obviously that changes up how monies are received and outgoing. Does that change anything for you at the Treasury if let's say they approved that we could do school vouchers for students who I know this all started from the scholarship thing.
Right.
They couldn't use state money or stuff to go to a governor's conference in the summer that's sponsored by outside business and by school taxpayer money.
Yeah. So the Amendment 2, I think, is what you're talking about.
I am.
Right? So,
But
when Amendment 2 is I think the thing that you're talking about is they set it up so that a person could take you would get a tax credit for dollars that you gave to a scholarship fund, right? They would be able to do that again. They would be able to do that if the amendment passes.
My question is for you, Mr. Secretary, is if that comes in, is that another bundle of money that you have to kind of manage from your office, or how does that get worked out?
Well, those details will be worked out if and when the amendment passes. I have been called by members of the General Assembly who've asked that the Treasury in particular handle those funds.
Okay.
Which means if they designate by statute that the Treasury handles those funds, what we will do then is internally create accounts that are very liquid so that the money can be paid to whoever the vendor is. We would also make certain that we have the correct accounting structure in place,
Sure.
so that we can report to the General Assembly literally at their request,
Right.
the status of all accounts. We would also be investing that money in usually short-term investments, which can be redeemed very quickly in the event we need more money than we have, let's say, in our cash accounts.
Yeah.
So, but those laws are yet to be written. But I'm giving you the model that would be used, that we use in other places in the Commonwealth. For instance, the money that from unclaimed property.
Yeah.
We have an account set up to redeem those unclaimed property requests or applications that we receive weekly. There's money there to satisfy those applications. Then we have money invested. So we're earning money on our money, as we should be doing. We have them in very liquid, but also high yield bonds, as high as we can get without impairing the value of those bonds. We're not playing roulette with public money. So think of U.S. Treasuries, and think of what's called high grade paper, such as Apple, Google, entities or corporations like that we believe, based upon their track records, will be here next year.
I gotcha. So I know I'll let Mark go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, so I had a question about unclaimed property. Is what are the are all the it's actually a couple questions, but the first one is, are all unclaimed property, is it all like cash or are there other unclaimed property types, I guess, that are out there? Maybe you can explain how unclaimed property comes to your office.
Interesting. So, does that happen like on a lot of the cases where there's a commissioner's report in the county and the sale of property because they can't find an heir, and so they sell the property, then the monies are retained? Does that happen in those situations too? It's probably why it's a good reason to have an estate planner too, I would assume.
It is. Mark, very good point. Once a master commissioner has sold property, now remember, a master commissioner is going to sell property because somebody filed a lawsuit. And it could have been done because, in which case, the master commissioner will eventually sell the property. But the first thing that happens is the county clerk advertises that the taxes are unpaid. Mm-hmm. What does that do? Well, first of all, it gets the taxes paid. The person who purchased the taxes then has a lien against the property to collect back what they paid to redeem the taxes. If a sale is later held, if there is more money received from the sale than the debts against the property, and we can find no heirs, that money will eventually come to the Treasury, and we'll start looking for heirs and beneficiaries at that point.
Very good. That makes a lot of sense. So when you see in the newspaper a commissioner sale, that will kind of help explain what that happens. But obviously that's not the main reason why you have a big, large bank account for unpaid stuff. It also happens because of deposits paid on bills and stuff like that, not just in bank accounts. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. Let's talk about, following your example, let's talk about insurance policies. Mm-hmm. Insurance policies that may still be in force. Mm-hmm. In other words, no premiums have been paid, but the value of the cash value of the account, or cash value of the policy. In that instance, the insurance company pays to us the cash value, and might even pay to us a death benefit if we haven't been able to find the proper recipient. In any case, what we will then do is take the information they've given us, mm-hmm. and we will use our own resources to find these people who are either the owners of the property or their beneficiaries or heirs. Now remember, when you have an insurance policy, life insurance policy, there is, generally speaking, a named beneficiary. Occasionally it will just say, to my estate. And if a person dies without a will, then it will be paid to the estate eventually if we can locate beneficiaries. We will also ask that the court appoint a public administrator, mm-hmm. Who will then file a claim, file the estate, a mm-hmm. probate petition, and then if there's money to be paid to that estate, that probate estate, we will then send the money to them and they can distribute it among the heirs if they found them. But we don't pay any money out until we have located the heirs first, so that we know it's actually going to someone who's been identified.
Interesting. Mark?
Well, I was I had a question a moment ago and it just slipped my mind.
I know, it's so fascinating.
Because I hadn't been in, I hadn't dug into this before. Yeah. And so as I'm learning this, I'm like, okay, that makes sense, because I've seen this unclaimed property mm-hmm. Before. I've seen this pop up, and you're like, occasionally, I think it used to be, in the newspaper and stuff. Mm. But it was
It's getting there. It's getting there. Come on, man. Was it a dig or what?
No. Not an intended one anyway.
All right.
But I mean, it was like, so I'm fascinated to understand exactly what it is, because, it just fascinates. Because first of all, $845 million in Kentucky.
Making money for Kentucky.
Right. And that money is sitting there. Now, we're talking about cash at this point, right? There's not other types of property like somebody's. Mm-hmm. It's like we're talking about like somebody's home may have gotten sold because to pay the taxes, and then whatever's left goes into the bucket, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
As an example.
Yeah. So, but it's not like somebody's house is sitting out there in the their deed is in the treasurer's office, right? It's only when once the sale is made to pay the taxes or whatever debt may have been on it, anything that's over the debt, it
Still belongs to the family.
belongs to the family, but they may not have claimed it, or may not even know it exists.
As far as I know, we don't own any real estate.
No.
When we have assets like what you're talking about, such as what we call illiquid assets, we try to put everything into cash. When we receive, for instance, evidence of ownership of stocks or bonds, people sell those. And the reason we sell them is not because we want to spend the money, it's because we want to keep it invested and keep it safe. For instance, a stock or a bond may go up or down. What we want to do is prevent any losses to that property by selling it and then reducing that to cash and then investing it at our end. Now, let's keep in mind that the $845 million that I mentioned has been utilized this year to return to Kentuckians just a little less than $27 million, which is a record.
Wow.
That's to be exact, it's $26,738,087.41. The largest amount we've paid out this year has been $1.9 million. The least amount we paid out this year, the lowest amount we paid out was 16 cents. So that tells you that our accounting is very good.
Yeah.
We're able to send back to someone who is owed property. We can actually send them 16 cents that they can actually cash. Now,
it probably cost you 75 cents to send the mail, though. Just
probably did. That's a very good point. But we're also looking at making this even friendlier to the people of the Commonwealth by opening up some kiosks in the office, so people, if they don't have let's say they don't have a desktop or a laptop,
Right.
and can't figure out the technology using their phone, it can come to the Treasury. They can actually sign onto a computer and see what they have.
Now, you did that at the state fair, right? You had kiosks, and you were like, come on, see if you got some money.
We did.
That was like super successful. What is the website you go to even look for this?
Okay, it's treasury.ky.gov. Treasury.ky.gov. And that will take you to our website. Look at the top of the page, and you will see unclaimed property.
Yep.
Hit that icon. You will be provided. It'll take you to a page where you'll have a search box. Type in the name of the person that you want to search. You can type in your name, your spouse's name, one of your children, or perhaps a friend. We may have names that have multiple matches. So then we try to determine who receives property based upon their address. So we have a very, I want to use this very detailed technology that can really drill down on names and can drill down on addresses to locate people. I also want to point out to you, just as a public service announcement to your listeners in Meade County.
Sure.
The Treasury owes altogether $1,017,976.26 to people in Meade County.
Wow. You just got to go in there and look for your name and claim it.
That's it.
Wow. And that could be some soldier that was here too and left. And then they say, if you lived here, you better come to this website and look. Right?
A very good example would be the soldiers serving at Fort Knox. Left behind checking accounts, insurance policy, or deposits with a landlord.
Oh.
So a very good, you picked up on that immediately. Let me also point out too that at State Fair, almost half of everyone who came to our booth found out that they were entitled to money that we were holding.
Oh my.
I'll give you an example. 3 ladies were coming by our booth, and I stopped them and I said, I can tell you in 30 seconds whether you have any property coming back to you. And they said, you're kidding. And I said, if you'll step over here, I'll tell you, but we'll tell you very quickly whether you have any money coming to you. And 2 out of those 3 nice ladies had money coming to them.
Wow.
So I'm looking at mine right now, and I have 4 different ones that look like they're legitimately mine. And I can honestly say I have no idea. I mean, these are all companies, like these are banks or insurance companies that I know that I've worked with. And I'm just trying to understand I'm trying to think to myself, how do they get these? How do these come about? And I'm like, either I had overpaid something or something maybe, and they tried to send me a check and then I never got a check, or it never got cashed or something like that. Some of these I'm scratching my head because some of these are pretty old.
Well, I would say all of the above. If you're guessing at what it could be, all of the above. It could be a checking account or a savings account.
Yeah.
Premiums on an insurance account, cash values of an insurance account on a insurance policy that you quit paying on. You still have a cash value. You certainly want to claim that cash value.
Oh, I see. There's actually a description here that says what it is. I didn't pay attention the first time. It's like customer overpayment, credit balance, accounts receivable, premium refund, refunds due. So, I'm going to make my claim.
That's crazy.
It's not, I mean, none of mine has a ton of money, but it's like, because I think it's,
Hey, you get to go to Miguel's and have some
maybe
happy chicken, man. You might have enough.
Maybe dinner's on me one night.
There you go. Or Sunday after church.
That's right. That's right.
So, Mark, it's tremendous responsibility. I know this last year at legislation, there's a lot of folks, and obviously locally, our elected officials, they must have went through 300 lines of budget data, sorting through what we're spending our monies on and then realigning the budget. How does that come together with your office? You got the legislators over here doing this thing. You're an elected official over here making sure that the T's are crossed, that the dots are in the right spot, and the zeros are in the right spot. How does that come together when they legislate and then with your office? I mean, how does that work? I mean, because that's got to be, you're trying to pull a lot of coattails to get them, what is the final decision? How does that work out?
Well, every penny paid to the Commonwealth is going to be coming through our accounts, and every penny paid from the Commonwealth will come through our accounts. In order to have an allocation or a disbursement, there must be authority for that. Mm-hmm. There's a whole system designed to keep track of what's been authorized and what's been paid pursuant to that authorization. What we do is we follow the intent or the dictates of the General Assembly. Who else follows them? The Finance Cabinet follows what the General Assembly says they're supposed to do with money or with allocations. So that there is a very clear line. You don't pay out what is not authorized.
Yeah.
And you pay out everything that is authorized. So our job is to pay it out, generally speaking, or to receive it. And if we receive it, we will pay it out to the appropriate entity of state government. In other words, where it's supposed to go is where it ends up.
Right.
And that's our job.
All right, I want to get that figure again. In Meade County alone, there's over
$17,976.26.
Wow.
So $1,017,976.26. That comes back to Meade County. So I need Meade County, as you're listening, to go online and see if any of that money.
Well, I just did mine.
Yeah.
I'm doing my part right now.
All right. So I hope that today, if you are out there in Meade County, I have just done you a service. I have just paid you back. $1 million could be injected right in Meade County from this one podcast alone. And if you're a relative or know somebody or know the person that you see in there, if you got a neighbor that was in the military and you're still in contact with them, pull their name up and see and say, hey, you've still got money here in Kentucky you should claim, because we all make friends with the military. They're our neighbors. They live close to us. They don't always live on post, but when they do, they go to our schools. You'll remember their children or something to that effect. Right. And if they go away, get on that Facebook, look them up and say, hey, hey, we were doing this thing, and there's 1,017,900. Where's my note? Hold on, I got this. 19. No, where did it go? My note. Yeah, $1,017,976.26. I think my grade school teacher would be proud of me that I said that correctly. So, that is super awesome. I'm so glad that we had you on the show today to actually go into this topic alone, and that we could give back to talk about Meade County and stuff like that. You know, obviously elections around the corner. Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm sorry.
I want to say two things about that. First of all, if you all didn't have me on here, the service that needs to be done to the public through our office would not have happened. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. The second thing to keep in mind is that we're holding money that belongs to child support recipients. Why? Because someone who is owed this money may in fact owe child support. So probably next year in the first quarter of the year, we will be dispersing child support from this office to moms and dads who need it. And what is child support? It's shoes on feet, clothes on back, and food on the plate. And children don't eat once a day. They eat every day, 3 meals.
All day long. They eat all day long, Mark.
They graze. You're right. They eat all day. They wear clothing every day. Mm-hmm. And moms and dads can't get enough help. Usually, I was a county attorney. I collected record amounts for our office. And what I mean by that was that we were a small county. Mm-hmm. And in 2018, we were the #1 county in the state for counties our size and collection of child support. It's a critical element for most families who had to endure a divorce, or children who don't have fathers, or perhaps a mother that's on the scene. Mm-hmm. But we do collect child support from these parents, and hopefully get it distributed to the right people to take care of those babies of theirs. So that starts next year.
Very good.
And we're hoping that the legislature will also authorize that we can disperse crime victims restitution from our office.
That would be awesome.
Yes, it would.
My God, that would make a faster, rapid repayment of restitution than have to depend on each county to do that.
Right. And give you another example. Child support is already being dispersed from the Kentucky Lottery Corporation. Mm-hmm. So what do when we pay out a claim? The first thing we do is see if a person has actually paid their taxes. The next thing we'll be doing is look to see if they owe any child support. And after that...
Oh, you're saying if I won the lottery and got the pick 3 and I got a $20,000 settlement, they're going to hold that money before I can... And if I owe child support before I get the payout?
That's exactly right.
Wow. That's good. That's a good thing. Good. Oh, my gosh, especially for the children. Oh, wow.
And the crime victims who get their money.
Yeah.
A criminal hasn't paid to them. Mm-hmm. And look, Steve, if you didn't have me on, I couldn't be telling the story, but, what you're hearing is the narrative of a man who was in prosecution for 30 years prior to taking this office. So put it this way, we continue to prosecute the public interest through the Treasury.
Wow.
Making sure that money gets to the right place, to the right people.
Hey, you're protecting people at the same time. So that's amazing. Yeah. Very amazing.
Yeah.
I had one more question that had hit me, and then I lost it because I got enamored by the lottery holdup. But I know that I can obviously always get you on here and try to get you scheduled again, especially as we get into that. I think that would be great when we get to the first quarter of the year and that actually happens and we get the legislature to cooperate. Is there any final closing thoughts you would like to leave with the citizens of Meade County and the Messenger? Oh, by the way, what's your favorite newspaper in Meade County?
The one that you own.
Thanks, I appreciate the Messenger. That's right.
Yeah.
You need to pass that message off a little earlier.
I did. It's good. I caught you off guard. All right. No, I'm just kidding.
You did. I know you own it, and you take the same editorial positions that you take through your podcast, which is, in my opinion, God bless you for.
Thank you.
You are. You love America. You love Kentucky.
Yes.
You want to see both do well, and you want every citizen to have an opportunity to do well. And there are lots of people who feel that way. but how many will have a podcast? How many will publish a newspaper?
Yeah.
How many people will stand tall for what I could consider to be American values,
Right.
and will also stand up for our servicemen and women? You do that.
Thank you.
I've been to meet, one meeting with you anyway.
Yeah.
And it makes the third time we've spoken. Leave your listeners with this thought. We are averaging right now $2.5 million a month return to Kentuckians.
Wow.
What does that mean? $30 million this year is what it means. We believe that we're actually going to be able to exceed that number. So when we visit in the first quarter next year, hopefully I can report to you a number that went well above $30 million returned to Kentuckians. Last thing I'll tell you is that it's not just the items we've talked about, the lapsed insurance policies. It's also tax refunds.
Yeah.
And we returned a tax refund that was worth $101,000 to a business that was so large it had not even missed the tax refund yet.
Oh my gosh.
So we told them we're holding a tax refund worth $101,000, and they said, "Well, send it to this address." Not a word of thank you, not a
Oh no.
not a big yell of thanks at the other end, which was not the purpose of the call. But I was, when my staff told me about it, I thought they must really be a big business.
Yeah.
Most small businesses would be jumping up and down, very happy about that.
I would, yes. From a small business perspective and a newspaper, yes, I would be very happy about that. So,
Absolutely.
well, Mark, as always, thank you so much. And thanks for the work you do and your service to our country, not only in uniform, but out of uniform. Touched by your story of your friendship with one of our local neighbors. And you get me every time. It's something about us getting together, and there's something we've all got a touch point that we've really crossed paths and we never even knew it. And when it happens, boy, it's just emotional, right? I just want to say thank you for your service, and I really appreciate your friendship and being able to have you on to talk about these things and educate. I bet you that after today's podcast, there's probably 90% who watch this will have never known the information that they got from today, and it's
That's
because
right.
of you being on the show. So thank you, sir.
I mean, I was one of them.
and you gave Mark some money today. So
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. I look forward to returning.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully reporting more good news.
Yes, sir. Well, you have a great one. I'll let you sign off. I'm going to turn it over to Mark. And Mark, you take us on as we get ready for some things that are coming up here near.
Yeah, so obviously we have the election coming up. Mark,
sir.
Mr. Metcalf, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for what you're doing for Kentucky.
Yeah, he is out.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're back on, Mark. It's you and I. Just want to go ahead.
Yeah, so the election's coming up in less than 2 weeks. We're 12 days away from the election day. That, of course, we start our early voting on October 31st.
This Saturday.
So this Thursday.
Thursday.
Yep. So a week from today, we'll start voting in Kentucky, and you'll have the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd. And then polls will be then you'll go to the normal polls. So in Meade County, you're going to go to on the 31st, 1st, and 2nd. You're going to go to the fairgrounds, go to the Home and Garden Building, and you're going to be able to, no matter what precinct you're in, you'll be able to vote there. Then you'll be able to on election day itself, you'll be able to go to your normal polling station. Now this year we have 3 centralized polling locations. So whereas the high school used to be anybody could go in the county could go to the high school, now they have it set up so that anybody in the county can go to the high school, the middle school, or Flaherty Elementary, and it's the same. So you have the same system in all 3 locations. There's really no excuse not to get out and vote.
And vote early. Don't wait until election day.
Go ahead and bank your vote on Thursday next week or Friday if it's more convenient.
Yeah, so I want to thank Sheriff Wimpy and then Susan Masterson, our county clerk. They've done a great job. Last year earlier this year when we did a primary, and shout out to you guys for the work you're doing in preparation for all of this. God love you for the work that goes into it. And the folks that volunteer, there's volunteers, folks that do do this, and they're there from sun up to sundown for the polls to be open.
Well,
and it's bipartisan. There's both sides represented, Republicans and Democrats, and there are reviewers. But the interesting one about why you should vote earlier is the story I got about the sheriff. If the polls close at 6 o'clock and there is a line outside the door, and 6 o'clock goes off on your watch, your phone, whatever it is that you use, but I would say everybody goes with cell phone time because that's the most accurate because all the cell phones are synced. But if the sheriff is in line at 6 o'clock and you come in behind him, you've missed your chance to vote.
Yeah, so the sheriff of the location.
That's right, the sheriff of the voting sheriff.
We're kind of
Sheriff Wimpy is actually part of our voting process for the county.
He absolutely is, but he's on. It's not like the sheriff and the sheriff's department has.
No, but I wanted to say thank you to Sheriff Wimpy because he helps oversee all of the elections.
But I wanted to let people know that when the sheriff we're talking about is the polling location sheriff.
That's right.
Those are the positions. They have a clerk, they have a sheriff, and then they have another one. I'm trying to remember what it is. But basically, and they are fully bipartisan. There's at least one person of each party that are part of those positions, and so you have the sheriff that as Steve's talking about at 6 o'clock tonight. As soon as it hits 6, that the sheriff will go out, and the sheriff of the location will go out and stand in line at the end of the line. And if you're behind that sheriff, then you've arrived too late. Now they do their best. That if they see somebody walking across the parking lot, they don't go up there and run and get in line. They wait, and if somebody's coming to vote and get in line, they let them get in line. If once that clears up, they get in line and that's it. Anybody that comes behind them is stopped. But you have so many opportunities to get out and vote. Yep. So if you like to wait to the last day to election day because that's fine, but make sure that you get out there, do it before you go to work in the morning at 6 a.m. rather than waiting until after work, because things happen and you don't get to go to the vote. You don't get to go to the poll.
Let me make this comment too. Just because somebody says on the television that somebody's in the lead and somebody's not in the lead does not mean, it looks like they're going to win anyway, I'm not going to go vote. I will tell you this. If everybody who's a registered voter in Meade County showed up to vote, I don't care what you vote for, but if you showed up to vote, it would send a loud and resounding message forward to a lot of other counties and states. If everybody in a state showed up and voted for a particular person or something like that, it would also send out a loud message. Does it happen? No, it's not. But I would tell you this. Our politics would get rapidly different if we had that much participation in the voting process.
I will say this. I got word that they are expecting as high as 70% turnout.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be super amazing, because that's 70% is basically...
and dead people can't vote anymore now. So
hey, they did one thing. There's been a big push to make sure that people who are not citizens of the United States they're not on voter rolls, right?
That's right.
And so there was a big deal in Arizona because they have not checked theirs, and they actually went to court so they didn't have to check, and big deal, right? But Texas checked theirs and removed a few, removed some. I think there was a big deal in Alabama. There was a couple thousand or something like that. Georgia just did theirs, and they had 40. I think it was like 40, or maybe it was 20. It was something, a very low number compared to the number of voters, and that's because they do a really good job of removing people and verifying people.
That's good.
So
so get out and vote.
So get out and vote. That's the key of all this, is to get out and vote. But it's just a little interesting little tidbits that we're hearing here and there. So the other thing is that the Republican Party will be having an election night. We'll be having an election night party at the fairgrounds at the Home and Garden Building. That'll be at 6 o'clock. It's
open to the public.
Open to the public, and Well, Republicans.
I mean,
if a Democrat wants to walk in, we're not going to turn anybody away.
Well, and I would assume that it's also and I know the
potluck.
Let me see. Hold on a second. I'll tell you. I think the Democratic Party also has one. So hold on a second.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So the the importance of getting out and voting is whether you're Republican or Democrat. Obviously we're I'm a Republican and I want my Republicans to win, but I really want people to get out and vote. I want you to go out and exercise your right to vote. I hope you vote the way I like you to vote, but that is
the freedom of choice.
That's right? The freedom of choice. So I want to see this county get out and vote. One, it helps all of us when it comes to the more people that get out and vote, the more delegates you'll have to conventions and things like that for the next presidential convention and things like that. So we.
Keep going.
Yeah, caller. So that's threw me off a little bit. But as far as is there any? I don't have another topic at the moment.
The only other thing I have, and we're closing this out, is I just want to make an announcement. It's a public service announcement. There was a lot of questions about because of an article we published in the paper this week, and it's very important that you guys pay attention to. The Kentucky Fish and Wildlife Commission has established a new chronic wasting disease surveillance zone for Breckenridge, Hardin, and Meade counties. As everybody knows, hunting season is opened up in an effort to prevent the spread of the disease to wild animals. The commission announced Wednesday. The announcement follows a report last week that a deceased captive deer tested positive for the disease at a Breckenridge County deer facility. The case marked the second time a deer in Kentucky tested positive. The CWD surveillance zone is already in place for Ballard, Callaway, Carlisle, Fulton, Graves, Hickman, Marshall, and McCracken counties. So I would tell you that if you have any concerns about this or anything like that, get with the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife Division. If you use some of our businesses, they're very smart about, they could tell you whether there's a problem with an animal when you take it for processing or anything like that. Webb's Butcher Store is awesome. If you need your deer taken in and serviced, Webb's does an amazing job. And they can also help you identify. Yep. They work very closely with Trey Webb, works very closely with the DNR. And if Trey Webb tells me that there's a problem, I believe it. There's nobody else I would probably believe more about that than him. So shout out to you guys at Webb's, and they're always looking for help. So I know that they're online and looking for help to help them during this deer processing season. So please reach out to Webb's Butcher in Painville. And then that kind of wraps us up for the day. I just want to say, Mark, thanks for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
Very cool. $1,017,976.26 of. Well, I'm sorry, 70,000. You just took the $6, didn't you?
I guess.
I don't know, but there's that much money that's unclaimed for Meade County. Boy, that would help. That would help the grocery bill. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Go get it.
You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, see you later.